Hey guys, just a disclaimer. If I'm lisping or anything, it's because I have a cough drop in my mouth. I've been kind of sick this week, so yeah, I hope that doesn't get too annoying. But anyway, I'll just jump right into it. So, how does Mrs. Frisby and the Rats of Nimh fit into the fantasy genre? Okay, so as far as magic, we've got the talking animals. And not only are they talking animals, they read, they build, they're very sophisticated, they're very intelligent. So definitely fits into the magic category. Then we have other worlds. Um, I would say, although this is kind of like a convoluted um, like example of how other worlds is described in our textbook, it fits with this story. So you could say that Mrs. Frisby's world, in comparison to the rat's world, um, fits this. So she really is kind of whisked away into this um, secondary world that's so foreign to her. And if that actually fits into the third method that's explained in our textbook, so while it's not exactly what they're looking for, it fits with this story. Good versus evil. You could say that Nimh is evil and the rats are good, or even humans are evil, like the Fitzgibbons, and all of the animals are good. Um, Special character types. This is like the one that I could not find anything, so it'll be interesting to see what other people thought about that one. And fantastic objects, kind of the same. I guess the rats could be fantastic objects, but they're characters, so that one was tough too. Um, anyway, now we move on to how does it fit into the gothic genre. So, as far as like a scary setting, I immediately thought of Nimh and how the rats probably felt there. It was definitely an oppressive thing, like an oppressive setting that they experienced. So that fits. A young, innocent heroine we have in Mrs. Frisby. She's not necessarily young, but she's definitely innocent. A villain slash monster. We have a few of these. So we have Nimh, we have the Fitzgibbons and their plow, and we have Dragon. So those are all villains slash monsters in the story. And the inclusion of societal taboos. For me, the first thing I thought of was the experimentation on the rats. That's definitely a societal taboo in recent years, especially in places like America with animal rights activists, definitely can be considered a societal taboo now. Also, I almost missed something. What features or motifs seem to place it among other horror novels? So, I would say that there are like some macabre things about like things in the story, like for example, the descriptions of what would happen to the Frisby family if they were, destroyed by the plow. That was actually kind of creepy to read how their bodies would be ripped up and yeah, that's definitely macabre. And we've got a lot of death mentioned. So right off the bat, Jonathan, the father of the Frisby family, is already dead, and we find out later that he died doing exactly what Mrs. Frisby will do toward the end of the book and will survive. Then we've got Timothy. He's basically like on the verge of death throughout the whole story. I mean, that's what the story is about. The extermination. At the end, we know that at least a few rats died, including probably Justin. And Jenner probably died as well in the hardware store. And then even the experimentation, like I said, is creepy. So I would say that makes it fit in. Who would you say is the most important character in this book and why? While a lot of people will probably say Mrs. Frisby, I think Timothy is the most important because the whole story kind of revolves around him. I mean, Um, had he not gotten pneumonia, Mrs. Frisby would not seek out Mr. Ages and then the owl and eventually go to the rats for help, and they would never have to move their house, everything revolves around his survival. So without him, there wouldn't even be a story to tell, really. Do you think that the rats sufficiently repaid their debt to the Frisby family by moving their home? In terms of, so thinking about how much the Frisbys did for the rats, Jonathan gave his life and Mrs. Frisby risked her life, and warned them about the extermination and everything. They did a lot for them, and all the rats did for them was move their house, and that seems like it's not equal, but putting myself in Mrs. Frisby's shoes, the most important thing to her is her family, and in the story, the most important thing is that she saves Timothy, and they help her do that by moving the house. So I think that for her, that would be more than enough to repay what they've done. I think that would be like a priceless act of kindness for her. Do you think that the rats were selfish to not tell the Frisbys earlier what had happened to Jonathan? Somewhat, yeah, I do. I mean, I see why they didn't, because it is kind of a long and confusing story about how they got to be the way they are, and Jonathan is a part of it, and he never told his wife himself, so I can see why they would want to respect that. But at the same time, it is really sad that Mrs. Frisby and her kids never knew what happened to him. So I'm iffy on that question. Do you think that the rats were kind? I don't know if they were kind, but I definitely don't think they were mean or cruel either. I think that they're just self-involved, and they're focused on, the development of their colony and moving to Thorn Valley and just, making sure that their life is good. But I don't think that makes them mean or inherently not kind, Why don't the rats help other animals on the farm? Like I said, they're pretty, they're pretty goal-oriented and not self-important, but self-involved, I guess. They're more concerned about their colony, and that's it. And, furthering the development of their colony and moving to Thorn Valley doesn't leave much time for them to hang out and talk to the other animals. But also, they went through a lot of trauma together, and so it makes sense that they would stick together that way. Do you think that the rat who went back to save the last rat was Justin? Why or why not? Yes, I do think that, and I think that was the author's intention. He's portrayed as brave and mindful of others throughout the whole book, so it makes sense that he would be the one to sacrifice himself to save the last rat, and I think that the author left it open-ended because when you do that, when you leave such a lovable character's fate kind of hanging in the balance in a way, I guess you could say, it keeps your readers thinking even after they've finished and put down the book, and it keeps them engaged with the characters even after the story is over, and it makes them think, and that's something I really like about books. It bothers me and it's frustrating, but at the same time you really enjoy it. I think it's good writing. Do you think Mrs. Frisby's children will be successful in finding the rats in Thorn Valley? No, I don't. Because it's said that wherever they're settling is pretty far from the farm, and it's hard. We've seen from the book that it's hard for mice to trek that far. It takes them a really long time, and it can be really hazardous. So, no, I think it'll be something that they talk about a lot, but will never actually do. Um, do you think Mrs. Frisby wants to find them? No, I don't. I think that, she had her journey with them and she had that crazy experience, and she's really grateful for what they did for her and her family, but I think she's pretty much done with all that, and I think she just wants her peaceful life with her kids from now on. Why does the author end the story where he does, and how else could he have ended it? I think that the author ends the story where he does because, like I said, Timothy is the most important character, and by the end, he is safe. I mean, Mrs. Frisby keeps her family safe, and she kindly warns the rats about the extermination, and after that, she's, like, done with her journey. So, there's not much more to say, really. And, the story could have ended with all of the rats escaping, the extermination, or even with the Frisbees joining them and going to Thorn Valley with them. But I think that the way it ended was perfect, and I wouldn't have wanted it to end any other way. One more question. Do the mice have to go to Thorn Valley themselves in order to find out how the rats are doing? I think it's actually mentioned in the book, but no, they could just have Jeremy go fly around and check on them. So, yeah, I think that's all for this week, so I look forward to seeing what you guys have to say.